So exactly what are Facebook ads? We're going to answer that question in this video. And these are what Facebook ads look like. This particular example is one to get page likes. And you can see you've got the logo, the name of the business, a nice headline that spells out what the ad's all about, an attention-grabbing picture, some details about the business, and you can click to like the page. This is what it looks like on the desktop news feed. Then this is what it looks like on the mobile news feed. Very similar, but you can see obviously it's taking into account the fact that it's a much smaller footprint. Let's move this along here. And then in the right column on Facebook, you're going to have a smaller one as well, like this. And there are all sorts of different types of ad that you can get depending on what your ad objective is. You can see them all listed here. So how do Facebook ads work? Well, the basic principles behind Facebook advertising are PPC and PPM. If you're familiar with internet marketing, you will have heard the terms before. But if you've mostly handled your advertising offline until now, you may not have. PPM means you pay per impression, or to be more specific, you pay per 1,000 impressions, hence the M. And your ad will show on Facebook and you'll pay regardless of whether anyone clicks on your ad or not. And this is perfect if you're trying to get exposure for your brand and you aren't worried about making any direct sales. PPC stands for pay-per-click. And as I suspect that this is what most people watching this video are going to be more interested in, this is what I'm going to concentrate on for the remainder of the video. Now, as an advertiser, when you're buying a pay-per-click ad, you only pay when somebody actually clicks on one of your ads. And this means that you'll never need to pay for an ad that's unsuccessful. So if no one clicks on your ads, you don't pay a penny, and you'll still have gained exposure for your brand from it. Now, the price that you're going to pay for each click depends on a number of different factors. It depends on the niche that you're in, the keyword that you're targeting, and how many other marketers are targeting that niche or keyword. Now, pros and cons to both, of course. The bigger the niche and the more popular the keyword, then the higher the cost per click, otherwise known as CPC. But the more likely you're going to be able to reach a large audience. The converse is also true. The less popular the niche and keyword, the lower the CPC. But chances are that fewer people will see your ad, let alone click on it. Like most of us, Facebook are in business to make money, so the more you're prepared to pay per click, the more often your ads will get shown. Likewise, the higher your budget for any given day, the longer your ads will be repeated, and this process is known as bidding. And Facebook are very flexible about this. Although it's called bidding, it's not like an auction. It's not a case of the person who bids the most gets shown exclusively and everybody else can get lost. It just means that the highest bidding ad will be shown the most often. You can bid lower and your ad will still get shown for that keyword, but just not that much. And this is good because it means you can test out an ad without spending a lot of money per click. If it's effective, it'll get clicked on regardless of how often it gets shown. You can then scale up, pay more and get more clicks. If the ads are dud, well, it doesn't matter. It won't have cost you much, if anything. Now, of course, the holy grail of PPC is to find keywords that get searched for often but don't have a lot of other marketers bidding on them. You then write an ad that targets potential buyers while discouraging people who are merely curious and are not likely to take you up on your offer. Master that skill, and it's literally like having your cash flow on tap. To create an advertisement on Facebook, it's very simple. You come here to facebook.com/business, click here where it says create an advert, and then just simply follow the on-screen instructions. It's very simple. So what's the difference between advertising via Facebook ads and advertising via Google AdWords? Well, there are certain similarities. First of all, both Facebook ads and Google AdWords are pay-per-click or PPC. At least Facebook does have a PPC option. And both allow you to set a cost per click, otherwise known as a CPC, and a budget. Both will show ads which pay the highest most often. Both allow you some degree of targeting, and both have different ad types which enables you to match the ad to the target audience. But that's about where the similarity ends. So let's take a look at some of the key differences between advertising on Google AdWords and advertising on Facebook ads. Now, when someone does a search on Google, AdWords ads are shown in the SERPs, that's the search engine results pages, and they're generally shown down the right-hand column and sometimes across the top of the results. And you can see they usually say ads or sponsored results. And you can also show an ad on somebody else's website via Google's AdSense program, meaning you can reach a very wide audience with Google AdWords. AdWords are also the best known and most respected form of pay-per-click advertising, but they're also the most highly competitive. Facebook ads, by comparison, are seen only on Facebook and Instagram now that Facebook has acquired it. So it's not so wide an audience, so it's not as expensive. Well, most of the time anyway. But the thing about Facebook ads and where Facebook ads really score over Google AdWords is they offer more precise targeting, especially when you're advertising on Facebook itself. Now, let me give you an example of how this works. Let's say, for example, you have a store selling wedding dresses. You can set it up so that only women who list their status as being engaged and live within a certain distance of your bricks and mortar store are going to see that ad. Nobody else will. Other women who live within that certain radius but are single or married already and therefore aren't going to be interested in a wedding dress, they're not going to see your ad. Likewise, women who are engaged but live further away than the distance that you've set, and therefore it's too far for them to go and pay a visit to your wedding dress shop, they're not going to see the ad either. So you can really drill down and only make sure that your target audience actually sees that ad. Likewise, if you run a site on giving dating tips for guys, you can make sure that only men who list themselves as single see your ad. Men who list themselves as being married or in a relationship, they're not going to see your ad at all. So they're not going to be interested in buying your ebook or signing up to your membership site for dating tips. So there's not a lot of point in showing them that ad. And this is where Facebook advertising really scores, is because you can really zero in on a very, very specific type of person. Your ideal customer, you can decide what he or she is, and then you can make sure that only those people who fit the very narrow criteria see your ad, and therefore they're more likely to buy your product or service, and you're more likely to make a successful sale. That's the sort of thing I mean. The biggest difference, though, is that when people do a search on Google and see an AdWords ad, they are actively looking for something. You go to Google, you type in your search term, and you're looking to find something, and you see the result, and you see the AdWords ad. Now, people come to Facebook to connect with friends and not specifically to buy products or services. You must therefore use your Facebook ad to create a demand, not just satisfy it. And that's the biggest difference. So you really need a different type of advertising strategy when you're advertising on Facebook compared to advertising on Google AdWords. The massive benefit of Facebook ads compared to other forms of online advertising is the ability to target your audience strategically and very, very carefully. And Facebook advertising has the advantage of giving you access to huge amounts of information about each member. And users on Facebook generally share details such as their age, their profession, their marital status, their location, hobbies, interests, and much, much more. And this gives you the ability to pick exactly who you want to see your ads. So, do you want your ads to be seen by inner city teenagers? Or would you rather they were seen by women based in the suburbs who are in a relationship? Or by local business people? The reason why this matters is that it allows you to target the precise audience for your product or services. So, if you have a shop selling wedding dresses, you will probably want to target women in relationships, probably engaged, and living locally. If you were selling computer games from an e-commerce store, you'd want to broaden your ads to target everyone in the country, or even all over the world if you're selling it via a digital download, for example. And you'd want to target mostly males in their teens and 20s who listed gaming as one of their hobbies. This way, you drastically reduce the amount of people who aren't likely to buy clicking on your ads. And you ensure that all of your money is being spent on worthwhile and useful advertising. So anybody who is not going to be interested in your product or your service is not going to see the ad, and therefore is not going to be a waste of money for you. Okay, now let's look at the different targeting options that Facebook has, because they do have quite a few, and the sort of targeting option that you're going to choose is largely going to be dependent, of course, on what your product or service is. Now, you can create a custom audience if you want. You can use email addresses, phone numbers, Facebook user IDs or app user IDs to create and save addresses that you'd like to show your ads to. So you can make sure that only people who you specifically selected will actually get to see your ad. Nobody else will. You can also choose by location, age, gender, and language. And basically these are the most basic demographics of the audience that you want to reach. You can choose by interest. You can pick specific interests that are important to your audience. And these are determined by what people are connected to on Facebook, such as pages or apps. So if you're in a hobby niche or you're in a business niche, you can zoom straight in and only target those particular people. You can also select your audience based on connections. So you can set your audience based on whether or not they're connected to any of your pages, apps, or events. Or anyone who has a friend connected to what you're advertising will see their friend included in your ad. And this can increase the likelihood that they'll find your ad relevant, and they'll find it relevant enough to engage with it. Now, keep in mind that selecting multiple options for connections will limit your audience to people who only fall under each parameter. So, for example, if you wish to target your fans and friends of fans, you'll probably be better off using two separate ads, one for fans and one for friends of fans, because selecting both parameters for one ad will target only people who are fans and have friends who are fans. So it does sort of work its way through, so it can limit you. You can actually limit the amount of people that see your ad. This is the whole point. It is to sort of narrow down rather than broaden the advertising base. And of course there are more categories as well. You can select people based on any Facebook or partner categories that you've requested access to, although you need to keep in mind that some data is only available to advertisers in the US, because Facebook is of course a US based company and data protection laws apply in various places. Now let's look at a few tools that can help you to select the right audience. The first one is Ads Manager, and as it says here in their Help Center post here, you can create and run your ads, target your ads, set your budget, see how your ads are performing, and see your billing summary, payment history, and payment method info. And you can find out and access it by going to facebook.com/ads/manager. Obviously, you do have to have some ads running in order to manage. The other one is Power Editor. And this is, it says, designed for larger advertisers who need to create lots of ads at once and have precise control of their campaigns. And you can find it at facebook.com/ads/manage/power editor. And you have to have the right sort of browser to make it work. And it's basically an updated version of Ad Manager. Finally, you can use Audience Insights to get a really good look at the sort of people who are looking at your advertisements. And they give you a lot of information, things like demographics, page likes, activity, purchases, etc. And as you can see from this screen grab that they've got in the Help Center, there's a lot of information here, a lot of easy to follow graphics and that sort of thing. And they do have a lot of information on how it works, and there is actually a video on the subject that explains it probably better than I can. So if you come here to facebook.com/business/news/audience-insights, you'll be able to find out all about it. In this video, I want to talk you through some of the different types of Facebook ad. Now, Facebook used to have lots of different types of ad, but these days they've narrowed it down to just a few, and I suspect that these were probably the most popular ones anyway, and they've discontinued the ones that people weren't particularly interested in. So let's talk you through some of the different ones. And the first one is a promoted post. And the supported placements are the right column, the mobile feed, and the news feed. And this is a great way of getting a larger audience engaged with an important piece of content or promotion. And for a set budget, you can boost a post which will increase its visibility in the feed of people who like your page as well as their friends. Then there's a boosted post, which is slightly different. And the supported placements are the right column, mobile feed, and news feed. And it's available to pages with 50 likes or more, and it's a simpler version of the promoted post. And you choose fans of your page and their friends, or you can choose to select targeting criteria. Then there's a domain ad, and the supported placement is in the right column. And domain ads are essentially adverts that appear in the sidebar and point directly to a website that you're hosting. It's a similar way to a Google AdSense ad. And they are perhaps the simplest form of ads and are composed of a simple heading and a block of text. Then there's the multi-product ad. And the supported placements are the newsfeed and the mobile newsfeed. And multi-product ads display multiple items on a slideshow type display that lets users browse and shop right from Facebook. And this is incredibly powerful for e-commerce stores, and it means you're only really posting one ad to promote a whole range of different products. And it's also good if you've got a bricks and mortar store or something like that. You can use this type of advertisement, again, to highlight your products, showcase your products. Then there's page like, and the supported placements are the right column, the newsfeed, and the mobile newsfeed. And this is basically an advert for your Facebook page. And with these, what you're trying to do is increase the number of likes so that you can generate a bigger audience to market to. And this is really part of a long-term strategy. You're probably not going to make any direct sales from this sort of thing, but you are going to get more people to like your page, you're going to get more fans, and you're going to grow your audience slowly over time. So it's something to plan for the long term. Then there are video ads, and the supported placements are the right column, newsfeed, and the mobile newsfeed. And as the name would suggest, video ads let you showcase a video. And they're good for getting likes, and they're powerful for video marketing. Then there are app ads, and the supported placement is in the right column and the newsfeed. And if you've built a branded app for Facebook, then this is how you can promote it and encourage downloads. Then there is an event ad, and the supported placements are the right column, newsfeed, and mobile newsfeed. And as the name would imply, events allow you to advertise events. And these can be useful for increasing interest for a company launch event, for instance, or for a conference. Or if you've got a bricks and mortar store and you're doing an in-store promotion, you could use this sort of an ad to advertise it. Or if you're a band or something like that and you want to get people to come to your next gig, then you can use an event ad to get people there. Then there's the offer ad, and the supported placements are the right column, newsfeed, and mobile newsfeed. And an offer advert is useful for companies who want to market a special offer, as the name would imply. And anyone who clicks on your ad will be emailed a code that they can then use to redeem your special offer, and it's great for encouraging sales. So that, of course, begs the question, what ad type should you go for? Well, that depends. As a general rule, you'll want to use the domain ads when you're looking to generate direct conversions by selling a product, such as an ebook. Meanwhile, the promoted or boosted posts make more sense for businesses trying to build followers, and they represent more of a long-term strategy. Getting fans for a page on Facebook can be very powerful, as it allows you to market to them more often, and it lets you strengthen your relationship with them. For e-commerce stores, there's clearly a big benefit in multi-product and offer ads. And for companies running events, or for bricks and mortar stores running in-store promotions, event ads certainly make a lot of sense. Really though, you won't know which ad is the very best for your campaign until you try a few. You may be surprised if you compare the performance of a few different ads, so experiment with them for a bit and don't make assumptions. At the same time, you should try to avoid thinking of each ad individually, and instead think of them as part of a larger campaign. In this video, I want to give you some tips for making your Facebook ads stand out. Now, when you're advertising on Facebook, you're going to be allowed to have an image on your advertisement. And this is very powerful because it's the thing that people will see before they actually read the text. They'll see the image and the text comes later. That's just the way your brain works. So when you're using images, you should use quality images. Preferably, you should use ones taken specifically for the ad, or failing that, you want to get some professional images from a photo library, and there are lots of them online. But you want to make sure, first of all, that they look good. Secondly, that they adequately relate to what you're advertising. I know some people say, oh, do something completely different because then it'll stand out. Well, maybe. But as a general rule, you want to make sure that if, like in the last slide, we were showing an image of a dessert, you would want to make sure that that image fitted something to do with desserts. You wouldn't want to have something like that for selling, jeans or something like that. You want to make sure that it does actually relate to what you're advertising. Very importantly, you must make sure that you own the copyright or have the rights to use this particular photograph. You can't just simply go to Google Images, grab something offline from somebody else's site and then use that in your Facebook ad. That's going to land you in a whole heap of trouble. So basically make sure that you own the copyright or that you have the adequate rights to be able to use these images. And also, you want to make sure that they're not likely to be seen on another ad, because that is going to destroy your credibility. So you want to make sure that it is a unique ad. And as I was saying earlier, that's really why you want to make sure that you have a picture that has been taken specifically for this ad, for you or by you, and for no other purpose. Something else that you want to do in your ad is to use compelling copy. You want to draw people in by appealing to both their emotional and to their logical side. So you want to appeal to head and heart in equal proportion. You also want to have a strong call to action. You want to make sure that when people see your ad, they feel it's compelling to go ahead and click through and either make the purchase or go to your website or go to your Facebook page or whatever it is that you want them to do. But you must have a strong call to action. You should also use social proof to back up any claims that you have in your ad. And a good way to do that is to use testimonials. And if you're running a video ad, for example, getting video testimonials from previous customers can be very, very powerful indeed. But whatever you do, the testimonials should be genuine. You mustn't make them up. They must be real customers giving their real opinion. Now, some people say that you should put a question in the headline, because this draws people in and gets them reading the rest of the ad. And especially if it's a question your audience can answer yes. Above all else, you should be credible. If your ad makes outrageous claims, then no one is going to take it seriously. So, for example, if you're advertising a make money online product and you're saying, you can make $1 million by this time next week, no one's going to take it seriously. But if the claim is you can make $1,000 by this time next month, well, maybe that has a bit more credibility. Most people are not stupid. They can tell when you're making some outrageous claim that simply doesn't make any sense. You can also use the psychology of color to your advantage. And this is something that works on a sort of a subtle, subconscious sort of level. studies have proven that older people tend to like blue, purple, and green, whereas younger people prefer yellow, red, and orange. So you can build this sort of thing into your advertisement. In fact, you can actually take it a step further because different colors tend to relate to different things. For example, yellow tends to convey optimism, clarity, and warmth. Orange is considered friendly, cheerful, and confident. Red is exciting, youthful, and bold. People associate purple with things that are imaginative and creative. With blue, people tend to associate it with things being dependable, trusting, and wise. Green tends to be associated with things that are peaceful, healthy, and associated with growth. And grey is a balance, neutral, and calming. And if you think about it, if you think of big corporations, if you think of products that you go out and buy off your supermarket shelves, for example, look at the colouring of the packages, look at the colouring of the advertising, look at the colouring of company logos, and you can see the sort of message that they're trying to get across through the colours. And you can do that too in your Facebook ad. And finally, when it comes to your ad, don't sell. Now, I know that sounds counterintuitive, but people don't like to be sold to. And the best ads never feel like ads. So if you want people to care about your product or service, you need to make them feel like you're delivering a solution to a problem or a need that they're facing. And one good way to come up with ideas is to look at other successful ads in other niches and apply those strategies and tactics to your own advertisement. Defining the objective of your Facebook ad is very important because the objective is going to set the pace for your entire advertising campaign. So everything else is going to be based around what your objective is. Now, some people get really puzzled and unclear about precisely what they want their Facebook ad to achieve. And you need to have a clear objective in mind for your ad. After all, if you don't know what you want, how do you know when you've got it? So you need to define this from the start. And actually, Facebook do make this very easy for you. So let me just give you an example here just to illustrate the point. Now, one potential objective would be to get direct conversions. And a conversion counts as someone going through the action that you want them to. So let's say the objective is someone clicking on your Buy Now button and buying your $10 ebook on the ultimate total body workout. And when the sale has gone through, that's a conversion. So it's making a direct sale from your website via a Facebook ad. Fairly straightforward. So what you do for this ad is you would target people who were in their 20s or 30s, or perhaps older, who listed the gym or fitness as a hobby in their Facebook profile. Next, you will create an ad that would show either in the sidebar or in their home feed. And in this ad, you will broadcast very clearly what it was you were selling and how much you were selling it for. So you will want to have a nice eye-catching ad. You'd want to have a picture of the ebook cover. You'd want to have a nice graphic, perhaps showing somebody working out like we did in the last slide. You will want to just sort of have something that would scream out to anybody who saw it that exactly what this ebook was about. So you could eliminate anybody who didn't want to buy it, you see, because this is where Facebook advertising can be a little different from other forms of advertising in terms of approach. Now, in the past, you might have learned to save the price until right at the end, after you've already convinced the person to learn all about your product and to buy. And this is known as the AIDA approach, which stands for awareness, interest, desire, action. Now, in pay-per-click marketing, because this is the version of Facebook marketing we're going to focus mostly on, you're trying to avoid clicks just as much as you're trying to encourage them. And you don't want people clicking on your ads unless there is some chance that they might be actually willing to buy. And this is very important. Otherwise, you're going to lose your ROI, which stands for return on investment, because obviously there is a cost every time somebody clicks on your ad. So you don't want people clicking on your ad, going through your website, reading about your ebook, thinking, no, this isn't what I want. I'm looking for an ebook on flower arranging or something like that, and then simply clicking away, because then you've lost that amount of money that it's cost you. So you want to make sure that it's an investment, not an expense. People click, you pay, but they go to your site and they like the ebook and they buy it. That's the ultimate objective. So you'll make your ad with a headline that very clearly says something like, get the ultimate total body workout ebook for just $10. And this technique will work because anyone who doesn't want an ebook or isn't prepared to pay $10 won't click. So if someone wants a video, they're not going to click. Someone wants a free ebook, they're not going to click. So this means you can afford to increase your CPC and have your ads seen more often. And it also means you increase your chances of being seen by someone who does potentially want to pay $10 for your ebook. In turn, that will increase the percentage of clicks that result in a conversion. Objective obtained. Now, exactly what the objectives of your Facebook advertising campaign are will impact heavily on the approach that you use, and will also be intertwined with everything from your cost per click to your maximum budget and to your ad design. Because obviously, if it's a $10 ebook, you don't want to pay more than $10 a click because you'll be losing money. And Facebook actually lets you set your goals right from the start. And the options that they give you are fairly wide-ranging and comprehensive. And these cover improving engagements of a post, getting more likes for your Facebook page, getting more clicks or leads for your website, getting more installs for an app, promoting your event or offer. And Facebook's evolving all the time, so they may have added more by the time you see this. Now, the more closely you define your objective, the greater your chance of achieving success with Facebook ads.